Guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be showing you the current state of the plants that I keep in my living room. I honestly lost track of how many plants I currently have in total, but I know it's a lot, so I wanted to break this down into 2 videos. So today we're just going to be going over the plants that I keep in my living room. Then in the next video we can do the rest of my plants. So starting right here, we have my Hoya obovata in my living room window. We actually just potted this one up in my last video, I believe, and she seems to be doing okay. She has a new leaf that's coming out there. And if you've been following my channel, I've had so many different plants in this window, but the Hoya obovata will always do it for me. I love this plant so much. It's definitely one of my favorite. I love a plant with round, bubbly leaves. They're just so cute. I also have one up here as well, another Hoya obovata. It's pretty small, but that's why I put it in this window to see if it will grow a little bit better. I honestly don't really like this plant in this pot though, so I'm probably gonna change it soon, but that's what it is for now. Moving right over here, I have my heartleaf philodendron that's still in water. It looks like she needs a little bit of water, but she seems to be doing fairly well. I don't know if you guys remember when I propagated this plant and put it into water and then never switched it, but it was a lot smaller and she's grown so much. But I honestly do want to propagate her in the future because it's not that full of a plant. I think there's only 2 vines in there and one of them is a little bit dry on the top, so it's probably going to snap off from the roots soon. So I need to get on that. This is one of my favorite plant pots. I forgot what brand I got it from, but it's definitely in my Amazon storefront. Definitely a more neglected plant because it is in water, and I do tend to forget about my plants that are just in water. My Cebu Blue Pothos was looking a little bit leggy towards the bottom, so I gave her a nice chop, and she looks nice and cleaned up now. So pretty. I'll show you guys those propagations in a minute. We can also take a look at the propagations that we transferred recently over to Pond and those self-watering pots because those are doing so well. Definitely one of my favorite plants. I feel like if the plant is in my collection at this point, it's one of my favorites because I got rid of all the plants I don't like. So now we're here. And then I have this section right here before my big white plant shelf, where I just have a bunch of plants that love sunlight right here, just basking in the sun. They usually stay here for the most part, but I do have some Hoya serpents on the top, which I usually keep in the windowsill, especially on a sunny day like today. I moved them over here for the video, but that's why they have so much condensation. Just back to the top for a second, I have one of my Monstera albo that we potted up a while ago up there. I also have my mother plant of my Philodendron Burl Marks Fantasy, along with the one and only propagation that I took from that plant for obvious reasons. Look at how big and juicy these leaves are. I can't understand how it's been putting out these tiny leaves. Somebody let me know. But even with the mother plant that I have here, the leaves on the bottom are a little bit bigger than the ones that came out on the top. More newer leaves here. They're not as big as the leaves that I started off with. I mean, I'm happy they're not as tiny as the ones on my propagation, but still. I also have this one air layering right here. When I remember to water it, I honestly haven't took a peek in a while because I've been neglecting it and it goes dry for days before I remember to water it. We'll probably propagate this plant as well in one of my upcoming videos, so definitely stay tuned for that. How freaking cute. I had told you guys that my Hoya serpents were giving me such a hard time, but for the ones that were, I did propagate them and put them back into a sphagnum moss. So we're back to these containers. They've honestly been in here for a while, definitely over a month now. So that's why you see some new growth in there, if you can see it. Probably some death in there as well. But I have 3 moss containers, so I did end up propagating a lot of the serpents that we potted up because they were rotting and I wasn't trying to lose all of those plants. I also have, oops, just spilled water everywhere. I also have these ones right here. Like, these ones are doing the worst, I think. And then I have these ones right here. It's not as full as this first one right here. Honestly, I think I'm gonna sell all of the ones that I'm currently propagating because how many Hoya serpents do I need? This is the best one, so I'm definitely keeping this one. But I also have this little guy right here. He looks like he might have to get chopped up and put back into moss, but I have these 2 little babies too. I would sell these ones as well, but they're not in moss, and I'm like, how am I gonna package these? Make sure you're subscribed to my channel and following me on Instagram because I will be selling a few soon. This is the Hoya serpents that I'm keeping in the window right now, so I don't know if that tells you anything about the care, but it has bright, direct, indirect light. all day, and I'm trying to minimize the algae, so putting in this little pot that I made. I also had my fiddle leaf fig sitting there, if you couldn't tell. She hasn't put out any new leaves in a while, but I noticed today that there's one forming, which I'm so excited. And then she's also lost quite a few leaves recently. Like, you can tell it looks super uneven on this side, but it's literally fine. I've been growing this tree for 3 years now in semi-hydro. And I also noticed today that she has like roots poking out right there. Like, where did those come from? I think she needs a new pot. I also keep my Monstera alba over there as well. The one that we propagated a couple months ago. And she's currently putting out a new leaf. I'm super excited. I cannot wait to see what that looks like. I think I updated you guys on all of my Monstera alba in a recent video. But I'm so happy with the results of propagating my mother plant. My mother plant just put out a new leaf as well. This is what that looks like. It's the one on top. It's not as variegated as the last leaf, but I was super excited to see that it had a lot of white on it. I'm super tempted to propagate that top cut right there with those 2 nice leaves, but other than that, I just have these lower variegated Monstera alba over here in the sunlight trying to catch a strip of white. Okay, now I'm just gonna show you what I'm keeping on my shelves currently. I swear it changes all the time, so take this with a grain of salt. Right here, I have one of the newly potted up Hoya obovata that we just potted up in one of my recent videos. I stuck her here because a lot of the time I put a grow light on this side of my shelf. I'll like clip it there and I'll have it shining over all of these plants and all of these plants right here. So I put my Hoya obovata there in hopes that it blooms or something of the sorts. I also have this Monstera alba here in a self-watering pot. That little leaf has no white on it, so that's disappointing. Then I have a Scindapsus on that top shelf as well. It's still in water, if you can see that. I recently put her up on this little plank because I just love that color green with a nice wooden background. It's so pretty. On this next shelf, I have another Albo here. I think I showed you guys this plant recently as well, and it was putting this leaf out, but it finally came out and it looks so pretty. I mean, it's a little wonky and deformed, but it's definitely variegated, so I'm happy. Even though the leaves are rather small, I'm gonna keep this one just to see what it does. Here's another low variegated Monstera alba. Lots of roots in there. Then I have some Scindapsus propagations and moss. These definitely need to get potted up soon, but look how vibrant and pretty they are. Gorgeous. And then I told you guys I just recently took some propagations from my neon pothos. So some right here, and then I got some right here. Very gorge. Okay, next I wanted to show you how good the Cebu blue pothos that we potted into these self-watering pots are doing. I wasn't too worried about it because most of the Cebu blue pothos that I've transferred in the past have done relatively well. If you haven't seen my mother plant, I used to have 2 mother plants. Do you guys remember that? I barely remember it, but I definitely used to have 2 mother plants and one did die. I think it's because that one was fully in leca. I was gonna show you guys that the roots have started making their way down into the water, but it's murky in there. So this one has a couple of roots, if you guys can see those. Anytime you see that the roots have made their way down into the water, you know it's been a successful transfer. We did 3 Cebu blue pothos in these pots. Oh, this water is a lot more clear. So you can see the roots. They've made their way down in there. Oh my God, I'm so excited. These plants are gonna be so good once they finally grow out. This is one of my favorite plants to propagate and watch grow. Like, look at how pretty. Oh my God. And then we did this last one that was more compact in there. I cannot wait to see this one start trailing. I was honestly a little bit worried about this one because it was so densely packed in there. But like the other ones, the roots have started making their way down. So I think we're good here. And because I was so excited about these Cebu blue transfers, I told you guys I propagated more Cebu blue pothos. So I did refill my prop station. I literally just did this a couple days ago, so there's no roots yet, but I can't wait to have more. I'm gonna buy some more of those self-watering pots and probably do the same exact thing because they took so well. These ones are on a lower shelf. We also potted these up in the same video, I believe. Yeah, when I got these new self-watering pots, I potted a bunch of Scindapsus in here. Like I've said, I've never had luck potting up Scindapsus in the past. So when I seen that the roots were making their way down into the water, I nearly freaked out. But if you guys remember, I did pot some golden pothos in here as well. So I don't know if it's the golden pothos or the Scindapsus, but it does look like the Scindapsus is doing well. I don't think I've lost any leaves on this plant yet. And then this is the last one that we potted up in those self-watering pots. This looks like a different Scindapsus than the other one. This Scindapsus right here and this one, they don't really look the same. I'm just now realizing this, and I've had these plants forever. But this is another one that I potted up with some golden pothos that are not so golden. Yeah, this is the only one with no roots at the bottom, so let's pray for her. I think we also potted up this golden pothos possibly. This thing is already getting wild. I love a good golden pothos. I used to have a huge mother plant of my golden pothos, which was actually my first plant ever. So this is part of my first plant ever, so she's never going anywhere. We got a few roots that made their way down in there. I have another golden pothos that's just a one viner. I'm probably gonna propagate that soon because this one, there's a lot of vines in there, so this plant is about to get very full and I cannot wait. But right now it's just trailing. I love a good trailing plant. When it's just one vine trailing, I'd rather propagate it and have a nice full trailing plant, kind of like my Cebu blue pothos. I got my little pumpkin guy. Here we have a jar of random propagations that I really need to get rid of. I think these are all Monstera albo propagations. There's little to no variegation on these leaves, and I haven't potted them up or even looked at the roots. And then it looks like there's a varicosum in there. Let me see. I got this little vase for them. Oh wow, I hadn't realized. When I tell you I have not taken these out of the container since I put them in here, I definitely was not expecting that. Should I even save this or pot it up? Let's see the rest of them. Wow, these are some really healthy roots. I know people say they have a hard time water propagating, but all I do is put water into a little jar and then a couple drops of rooting hormone, and I just leave it in there. That's probably why the root is a little pink right there from the rooting hormone. Then I have this little Hoya pubic calyx, Hoya crimson princess mix right here. She is so pretty. A little bit slow growing because I always end up putting her in a dark spot and forgetting about her. Another Hoya pubic calyx. These are all cuttings that I took from my mother plant, which I've had forever. I'll show you guys that one in the next video. I have this Hoya obovata in this little bubbly pot. I love this little propagation so much. It's in moss right now, so I might sell this one. I feel like plants are a lot easier to ship in moss, so let me know if any of you guys are interested in some Hoya obovata because I have tons. I would like to show you the current state of my philodendron mammii or mame because it's been a while. If you have one of these plants, you know it grows absolutely crazily. It looks like this leaf just came out right here and it's a little small. I'm pretty sure this plant probably has some type of pest on it because it always does. This is one of the more nicer leaves right here. This plant is beautiful, honestly, but I do neglect it a lot because I kind of have it pushed over to the side. Look at how disgusting those roots are. And it's completely dry, so I definitely need to do something with that. She'll most likely be repotted the next time you see her, but she's currently putting out a new leaf as well, so I guess that's good. I don't know, I always get the urge to propagate this plant, but I probably shouldn't because I propagated it so many times. The propagations, I think the propagations to that plant are in my greenhouse, so you'll see that in the other video as well. And then I just wanted to show you how my Calathea orbifolia is doing. Somebody had asked me how this plant was doing on Instagram, so I thought I would show it in a video as well. This plant did have thrip for a very long time, and she finally put out this little leaf right here. These two nice leaves as well. And we have one more coming through now, which I'm so excited about because it looks like it's gonna be bigger than this leaf. You guys remember when it used to be so big? Oh, those were the days. And then we have Cosmo and Wanda here, my two Syngonium that I've had since the beginning of time. But I do need to take better care of this one because it's in water. And like I said, my plants that are in water tend to suffer more than my plants that are not in water. I just forget about them. I don't even want to see what that water looks like. There's probably a fucking worm in there. I still have my little air plant here with his little seashell head, my little octopus guy. This is the last shelf I'm going to show you. This is the rest of the plants on my shelf. And it's really just a bunch of Hoya obovata propagations that I randomly potted up. I have this big container right here of Hoya obovata. This is a random plant. I think this is a marble queen that I had a very long time ago and I never tossed the propagation, so here it is. This one is a Hoya pubic calyx and Hoya obovata mix. Some more Hoya obovata. My philodendron Birkin propagating in here along with the philodendron mammii. And they do have some roots in there if you can see them. That does bring me to the end of today's video. Make sure you give it a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And until my next video, bye guys.